Convening this morning's agenda on March 15th, 2023. Today's Wednesday. Its time is 10 o'clock a.m. and 10:03 a.m. in conference room 309 here at the Hawaii State Capitol. This is the Committee on Culture, Arts, and International Affairs. We're going to take our agenda out of order today. We're going to start with SB 610, relating to American Sign Language. It recognizes American Sign Language as a fully developed, autonomous natural language with its own grammar, syntax, vocabulary, and cultural heritage. First up to testify, we have Sherry Shimizu.
Hello. So I'm testifying today in support of SB 610, which will recognize American Sign Language as a fully developed, autonomous natural language with its own grammatical structure, syntax, vocabulary, and cultural heritage. To prove ASL is a complete language, I am signing at the moment, and because you do not know ASL, you're relying on the interpreter speaking. If you learned ASL, you could be signing directly to me without having to prepare prerequisite notes for the interpreter. Here in Hawaii, ASL was already recognized as a world language for public school language requirements proposing according to Act 152, Session Laws of Hawaii 2016. Therefore, let's pass this bill at the state level and join some other states in recognizing American Sign Language as one of the official languages in Hawaii. Mahalo.
Thank you. That is all the individuals that we have signed up to testify. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on SB 610?
Yes.
Please come up and state your name.
I'm going to stand here just so that the deaf people can see me. Hello, aloha. I'm a retired vice principal for the Hawaii School for the Deaf and Blind. I worked there at HSDB for 26 years. So my last 3 years were as a vice principal. I was also a teacher. I was a student services coordinator and also vice principal. So from my perspective, as a DOE employee, and especially related to the deaf students all over Hawaii, it doesn't matter if they're deaf, hard of hearing, deaf blind. I find that many of the students, they really need ASL. They need ASL desperately. For example, I have my Hanai daughter with me here today. She was a former student of mine at the Hawaii School for the Deaf and Blind. She left HSDB in 2010, but she's still a ward of the state in this Hawaii State Family Court system. So we're taking care of her personal business. We've been doing that for several years now. She's very happy in her life. We communicate often. We're proposing, if we can prove that my Hanai daughter can be independent, she doesn't need a legal caretaker. So, I really want to try to see if she can become independent. But twice, she had an evaluation with a psychologist, 2 different psychologists. And they were saying that she can be independent, but part of the reason why she cannot be approved is because of the language barrier, because she uses American Sign Language. When she arrived at the Hawaii School for the Deaf, that was in 1999. She was 8 years old. She had 0 language. She was unable to communicate. She didn't know English, she couldn't read, she couldn't write. There was no way for her to communicate with anyone. And because of the Hawaii School for the Deaf and Blind and establishing American Sign Language as her primary language, she's now beginning to live her life only now, learning how to be independent, learning how to take care of herself, learning how to manage her money, open up a bank account. So because she does have a language, she's improving a great deal. So please, especially for me being an administrator for the DOE, do I have more time? I just want to ask and make sure.
Try to keep it short as a courtesy to everyone else.
Okay. So, well, I was the first deaf person in Hawaii to receive the DOE training to become an administrator as either a vice principal or a principal. It was 1999. During one of the trainings, it kind of looked like this environment. The DOE person said, I don't want to say the name, but this person had a PhD, and he was very well respected in the DOE. He stood up and he commented that one of his friends, and this friend was hearing impaired, he said. So impaired meaning, somebody with a disability like a wheelchair, and then the interpreters were voicing what he was saying, were signing what he was saying, and when they said hearing impaired, you got the gestures from the interpreters because they know that that's not correct to say that. So my response to that comment was, well, my dad was born and raised in Puerto Rico and spoke Spanish. And when he was 17, he moved to New York. And he never had any formal education. He couldn't read or write English. He couldn't read or write that well. And then, same my wife here, Margaret. Her parents are born and raised from Japan, and they just speak Japanese as their primary language, and they're not fluent in English either. So I asked the person from the DOE with the PhD, my dad uses Spanish, my dad uses crutches, my wife, her parents speak Japanese, but they still were independent and successful. So that's my story for you guys.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here wishing to testify on the measure before us?
No.
Seeing none, members, we have supportive testimony from the Hawaii Civil Rights Commission, Disability Communications Access Board, Hawaii State Association of the Deaf, and a number of individuals all in support. Members, any questions? Was there anyone on Zoom wishing to testify?
Not on Zoom.
Members, any questions? Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and take the vote for SB 610 right now for the interpreter and our guest. So the chair's recommendation is to pass SB 610 unamended. Okay, the members' discussion. Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Okay, voting on SB 610. Chair and Vice Chair vote yes, as is. Representative Garrett,
Aye.
Representative Capella,
Aye.
Representative Matayoshi,
Aye.
Rep Sayama,
Aye.
Rep Alcas.
Aye.
Chair, your measure is adopted.
Thank you so much. Now we're gonna go back to our first item on the agenda, SB 278, relating to Prince Jonah Kuhio Kahalanianaole. Requires certain public buildings near mass transit projects and on the Hawaiian homelands to display portraits of Prince Kuhio Kahalanianaole. First up, we have DHHL.
Aloha, Lehua Kini Laukano of the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. We stand on our testimony and are available for any questions.
Thank you. Members, that is all that we have signed up to testify. Please note that we have opposition testimony from the Center for Hawaiian Sovereignty Studies and testimony in support from one other individual. Is there anyone else in the audience or on Zoom wishing to testify on the measure before us? Seeing none, any questions, members? I have a question for DHHL. There's a blank amount on the number of feet. Do you have an idea what that number should be?
We actually don't. This bill was not proposed by DHHL. It was proposed by a legislator. So I think the idea behind it was just to promote Prince Kuhio not only on Hawaiian homelands, but because of his role in establishing the counties as well. I think that was the intention for the TOD areas. So unfortunately, I don't have a specific number in mind.
Okay, that's all the questions I have. Members, any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, SB 449, relating to Festival of Pacific Arts. It appropriates funds to DBED for the Commission on the 13th Festival of Pacific Arts and Cultures and the plan for it. First up, we have DBED.
Good morning, aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. I'm Jamie Lum, representing DBED this morning, and we stand on our written testimony, and I'm available for any questions, to answer any questions if you have.
Okay,
Mahalo.
thank you. Hawaii Tourism Authority, in comments?
Aloha kako, Chair, Vice Chair, honorable members. Ilihia Johnson for the Hawaii Tourism Authority. We stand on our written testimony in strong support of this measure and of the Festival of Pacific Arts and Culture. Mahalo nui. Available for any questions.
Thank you. Next up, we have Commission on the 13th Festival.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and members. Kalani Ka'ana'ana, Chair of the Commission on the 13th Festival of Pacific Arts and Culture. I also want to share warm Pacific greetings as is used in the region. We actually have 31 of the nations who plan to attend next June for the festival in country right now in Hawaii, actually at Inman Conference Center hosting meetings and site visits for the festival. And so I know that on behalf of Director Miles Young, he sends his aloha as well, but happy to stand by for questions. Mahalo.
Thank you. That is all that we have signed up to testify. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on SB 449? Anyone on Zoom?
None present.
Okay, members, we do have other testimony from Hala Mohala Ilima, Hawaii Lodging Tourism Association, and one individual, all in support. Members, any questions? Seeing none. Okay, we're gonna move on to our next item on the agenda then. SB 731, relating to Hawaii Independence Day. It designates November 28th of each year as La Ku'okoa. I think I did that correctly. Hawaii Independence Day. First up to testify, we have Dags.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, on behalf of Comptroller Regan, I am Dr. Adam Jansen. I have the privilege of serving as State Archivist and Administrator of the Public Archives. In that capacity, as keepers of public memory, we are very strongly in support of this bill. We stand on our written testimony. I want to emphasize the fact that of the 4 forms of government that have existed in Hawaii since 1843, the kingdom, the republic, the territory, and the state is the only entity that has not recognized Lakuokoa. And we hope that we can address that situation. And in support of educating everybody everywhere, we have digitized all of the records from Lakuokoa, the entire event, so that we can use them in education for both Keiki, the people of Hawaii, and all of its visitors. I welcome the opportunity to address any questions or comments you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Angelina Wu in support.
Aloha. O Angelina Wu ko ui noa noho au I makiki he umi kuma lima o u makahiki. Hello everyone, my name is Angelina Wu. I am from Makiki, 15 years old, a proud Native Hawaiian, and I am testifying in strong support of Senate Bill 731, which recognizes November 28th as La Ku'oko'a, or Hawaiian Independence Day. I would like to teach you all a hua olelo, or word, mana. According to Vehe Vehe, the Hawaiian dictionary, it means divinely power or spirited. This bill isn't talking about buildings or budgets. It is talking about the unity, pride, and ultimately mana of the Hawaiian people through centuries. La Ku'oko'a was established in 1843 when the Kingdom of Hawaii was recognized by England and France through the Anglo-Franco Proclamation. This marks the day that the Hawaiian Kingdom and its kanaka, or people, were heard. People used to chant in the streets and celebrate the momentous day. It was only after the illegal overthrow of Hawaii that we lost these traditions. At this time, the Lahui, or Hawaiian community, were told to stick their heads in the sand, forget their practices, language, mana, and pride for being a Native Hawaiian. But times have changed. We are in a sort of Hawaiian renaissance. All around the state, Native Hawaiians are promoting cultural issues, recognizing historical events, and finding mana within each other. Currently, during La Ku'oko'a, Kamehameha students march to the Capitol or simply around campus, waving their high Hawaii flags and singing mele such as Hawaii Ponoi. The Hilo's Boys and Girls Club hosted a 2-day educational conference, and multiple news channels covered La Ku'oko'a to speak about its importance and the Hawaiian pride that goes with it. These celebrations could all be spread and help unify Hawaii. I have seen Native Hawaiian movements begin and die because of a lack of hope, pride, or resources, and this bill will give exactly that. La Ku'oko'a will inspire youths like me, give peace to our kupuna, and help create a united Hawaii without any monetary cost to the state. It is something so easy, but so powerful and filled with mana. This is an important step towards recognizing our Native Hawaiians and unifying our state aloha. Mahalo nui, eola na lahui, eola ka Hawaii.
Thank you, Angela. That is all that we have signed up to testify in person. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on the measure before us? Anyone on Zoom? I know you have to ask. Members, it's important to note that we have one other individual in opposition, the Center for Hawaiian Sovereignty Studies. Members, any questions? Oh yes, Vice Chair.
When was the
Who's your question directed to?
when was the yes sir when was La Ku'oko'a first recognized as Independence Day? Because you mentioned that it's only in Hawaii that it's not recognized.
It's only by the state. So it was first celebrated in 1843, and all the way up through 1903, it was listed as an official holiday of the entity of Hawaii, whether it was the kingdom, the republic, or the territory. All 3 of those recognized it as a significant event. It is unquestionably one of the 5 most important events to have happened to Hawaii. Without that occurrence, in my mana'o as a historian, in all likelihood, the islands would have been divided up as many of the nation states were in the South Pacific. So because of this event, the Hawaii that we know and love today is one unit.
Thank you.
Chair
Yes, Rep. Capella?
For the last testifier who just came up. Sorry to make you move the microphone back down. I have the same problem. It's okay. What's up? First off, thank you for your testimony.
Yes.
As a young Native Hawaiian woman, if we were to recognize this as a state, what would that mean to you?
It would have a great deal of importance for me because I know I see a lot of people posting constantly about how we want this to be recognized, how it would mean a lot to our community, to our culture, because we want to spread the knowledge of that day and the celebrations for it. Because if you ever go to a march or something, it's quite beautiful to see everyone singing, to see everyone hold so much pride and mana as they're speaking about the amazing day.
Thank you very much, and thank you for using your voice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? Seeing none, we're going to move on to our next item on the agenda. SB 733, relating to Hawaiian culture, requires the Office of Hawaiian Affairs to establish and maintain Native Hawaiian culture centers within the state. We don't have anyone signed up to testify on this measure, but we do have testimony from OHA with comments, Center for Hawaiian Sovereignty Studies with opposition, and one individual in support. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to testify on SB 733? Anyone on Zoom?
None present, Chair.
Seeing that there's no one to ask questions to, we're going to move on to our next item on the agenda, SB 1504, relating to modern Hawaiian history, Modern Hawaii History Museum, establishes a museum of modern Hawaii history and on a task force to develop the plans for it. First up, we have the state judiciary in support.
Aloha. Chair Tam and Vice Chair Martinez. I'm Matt Matisse from the Judiciary History Center. We support the bill and we stand on our written testimony. And I'll be here for questions in case anyone has any.
Thank you. Next up, we have DAGS.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Representing Comptroller Regan, I am Dr. Adam Jansen, and I'm still the state archivist and a huge history buff if you haven't picked that up yet. DAG stands in its testimony in support of this. We think it's very important that we have an opportunity, again, to educate, to centralize all of these amazing artifacts and records that currently are scattered all through the island and being lost. By bringing some prominence to modern Hawaiian history, it gives us that opportunity to create these educational displays, both for our own keiki and as well as all the visitors, to educate them on what Hawaii really is like, and to give them some icons to model themselves after. Some of the famous Hawaiians of the past century that are being forgotten. So I thank you for hearing this bill, and I welcome the opportunity to address any questions or concerns you may have.
Okay, thank you. That is all that we have signed up to testify. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on Senate Bill 1504? Anyone else on Zoom?
None present.
Okay, members, we do have some supportive testimony from the State Foundation on Culture and the Arts and Ukulele Friends, LLC, and 2 other individuals, all in support. Members, any questions? Vice Chair?
From the DAGs. So right now, we don't have a museum for Hawaiian history. What about Iolani Palace, Summer
So
House?
Iolani Palace is the Museum of the Monarchy. The Bishop Museum is the official state museum for cultural and natural history. But as far as political history, for instance, no, we do not.
Okay.
And that is to our detriment because, as you may know, there are a lot of subjects historically that we just avoid and we
Okay.
don't have the opportunity to discuss.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Rep. Garrett?
I'm sorry, State Archivist, excuse me. So in your testimony, you referenced how the legislature provided funding for a master plan for
Correct.
state archives. So can you tell us your vision? Do you see like the state archives being kind of the curator or the manager of this state museum?
In an ideal world, if I had my way, I think there is a lot of potential to leverage what we already have, because we are the keepers of public memory. We do have quite a few significant artifacts and records in our collection from Prince Kuhio, for instance. He deposited all of his manuscript collection with us. We have the phone upon which the state received the call from Eisenhower welcoming us to the Union. So this is what we have been doing since our founding in 1905. So the ability to move forward with that, I think is something I'm trying to be really reserved and professional here. I'm extremely excited about. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. Again, we would love an opportunity to educate, to share on a much grander scale, so we can bring schools through as part of a regular curriculum.
Sure. And then what is the status of this master plan?
It is currently in the works to go out for RFP. So the timing of this actually works really well, because between the two, combining together, we can much better leverage both projects to a common goal.
Okay, just at a very high level, can you just share with us what that RFP includes?
So the RFP is about site planning, programmatic look for the state archives specifically. Do we provide the services that the people of Hawaii need in the 21st century? Or are we too traditionally paper-based, requiring people from Maui to fly over to see things? So it's going to look at staffing, programmatic, spacing, and also where would you even put this so that it would be ideally situated for people to actually come. I mean, if you put it out in Kapolei, it's great, lots of space. How many people are going to be driving out that way? I don't know. So that's something that we're going to hopefully bring in some experts to take a look at.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair.
Okay, any other questions,
Can I
members?
ask a question?
Rep. Capella?
Thank you. What is the mission that you hope that this can, I guess, achieve? Because you mentioned something about Eisenhower and the phone and how we were welcomed into this country, but I think that there are a lot of Native Hawaiians that feel that just further, is this about further, I guess I want to say exploiting and carrying this historical museum that is about our continued colonization here in Hawaii? Because I think that that's not something that, for myself, I'd want to support.
I thank you for that question. As the archives, we are an apolitical organization. We do not advocate one way or the other on some of these social issues. What we are the keepers of public memory through the letters of the people who participated in these events. So for us, this is an opportunity for us to display in their own words individuals who have shaped Hawaii's history.
For better or for worse?
For better or for worse, because we have to address the past. And to do it through, again, the voice of the people who participated takes my worldview out of this. Because I don't want to tell the story. I want them to be able to tell the story.
I think stories are told by whoever's curating.
That is a subject. And that's why, ideally we have a stakeholder group that includes the Royal Order of Kamehameha to help make sure that we are standing that apolitical line, that we are telling the story from both or multiple viewpoints.
Would it not be better to just fully fund the archives so that you folks can better take care of the history of this place, regardless of what side I think you're on, and then people can just come and visit?
We will never say no to actually being funded at the level we need to with the staffing we need. But regardless of that, we do need a structure to be able to display these things appropriately. Because an archives cannot handle mass volumes of individuals coming to look at these records. The analogy that I use, if you ever have the opportunity to go to the National Archives, they have the public vault. And they tell the story through either the original or reproductions of these records, so that people can come read them themselves and draw their own conclusions based on those records. So yes, we would love to have more funding. Yes, we desperately want to tell these stories. And yes, that's why we've been doing a lot of digitization to try and get more of this out so that schools and individuals can read the history for themselves and interpret it as they see appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, members. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we're going to move on to our next item on the agenda, SB 1532. Relating to culture and the arts, it establishes the Hawaii Leadership Awards Program to honor persons from Hawaii who have made considerable and outstanding contributions to the state and who serve as an inspiration to others. We don't have anyone to testify in person, but we do have supported testimony from the State Foundation of Culture and the Arts. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to testify or on Zoom? Seeing none, members, seeing that there's no one to ask questions to, we're going to move on to our next item on the agenda. Senate Bill 844, relating to special number plates, authorizes the issuance of special number plates to commemorate Malama Pu'uloa. First up, we have to testify is Anthony Chance.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. My name is Anthony Chance. I'm the CEO and founder of Hui o Ho'onua, and our program, Malama Pu'uloa, is one of our names that we work under. And I strongly support this bill, and it's no secret why everything is happening soon. You know, the students that we bring to Pu'uloa, I always say to them, "Are you the future? You know, are you the future?" And they say yes, and I say, "No, you're not. You're the now." And I think we just saw that. That was the most beautiful thing I think I've ever seen. 15-year-old. It was my generation and older that did this. Pu'uloa used to be a thriving place of cultural history and food production for a large, vast amount of people, and it's not now. This is one alternative way of funding where no cost to the government, people have a choice, and we need to start thinking of ways outside of the box to fund and to work together, collaborate, and I stand on our testimony, and I'll be available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. That is all that has signed up to testify on the SB 844. Is there anyone else in the audience or on Zoom wishing to testify on the measure before us? Seeing none. Members, we do have supportive testimony from Ali'i Pauahi Hawaiian Civic Club and a number of other individuals all in support. Members, any questions? Okay. Vice Chair?
Mr. Chang? My question is the special number plates. Who are you gonna be issuing it to? Who can apply for it?
We are. My original goal was everyone in Hawaii, because the cultural importance of Pu'uloa sends a message out that we as a community can come together. So all of Hawaii was my original idea. Everybody would be.
So it's still under your discretion or your approval to issue those special plates to those who wanted to apply for it?
I'm not sure how that process works,
Okay.
but I could look into that. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Members, are there any other questions? See, now we're going to take a short recess before decision making. reconvening the Committee on Culture, Arts, and International Affairs Wednesday, March 15th, 10 a.m. agenda in room 309 for decision making. First up, we have Senate Bill 278 relating to Prince Jonah Kuhio Kalaniana Ole. We're going to defer this bill right now. The reason why we're deferring it is because we do not have a clean number for the amount of feet that the building needs to be away from the mass transit system. And I encourage the stakeholders of this bill to kind of revisit that and to come back and give us a number. We also note that nothing is stopping the departments from doing this in the first place, so they can automatically already do this if they want to. This bill is mostly a requirement. Okay, so moving on to Senate Bill 449. We're going to pass this out as an HD1. We're going to make tech amendments. We're going to further defect the date. And we're going to note in the committee report that the commission is asking for $5 million. All right. Members' discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Okay, voting on SB 449. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Anybody voting with reservation? Anybody voting no? Chair, your measure is adopted.
Thank you. We already voted on SB 610. So now we're voting on SB 731 relating to Hawaiian Independence Day. We're going to pass this out unamended. I want to thank Ms. Wu for coming here and spending her spring break with us. I know that's very hard. But it is a really good bill, and I really want to see this go through, so we're going to pass it out unamended. Members' discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on SB 731. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Any voting with reservation? Anybody voting no? Seeing none, Chair, your measure is adopted.
Thank you. Next up, we have 733 SD1. We're going to pass this out as an HD1. Instead of requiring it, we're going to fund a feasibility study through OHA to on establishing Native Hawaiian culture centers around the state. And we're going to note in the committee report that the feasibility study, that we would like to fund a feasibility study about $100,000. I also want to note in the committee report that no one came to testify in person to answer our questions, and that should OHA want this to proceed, they should testify on the bill when it goes to Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs. Members' discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on Senate Bill 733. Chair and Vice Chair pass with amendment. Anybody voting with reservation? Any member voting no? Seeing none, Chair, your measure is adopted.
Next up, we have SB 1504 relating to a modern Hawaii history museum, which it basically establishes a task force to develop plans and establish this. We're going to pass this out furthering, as an HD1, furthering defective date to 3000, June 30th, 3000. Members, any discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on SB 1504. Chair and Vice Chair voting aye with amendment. Any member voting with reservation? Anybody voting no? Seeing none, Chair, your measure is adopted.
Next up, we have SB 1532 relating to culture and the arts. This establishes the Hawaii Leadership Awards Program to honor persons who have made considerable and outstanding talent contributions to the state. We're going to pass this out as an HT1 with tech amendments, and we're going to further the effective date to June 30th, 3000. Members, any discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on SB 1532, Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Any members voting with reservation? Any member voting no? Chair, your measure is adopted.
Voting on Senate Bill 844 relating to special number plates commemorating Lama Pu'uloa. We're going to pass this out at HG1, furthering the effective date to June 30th, 3000. Members, any discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on SB 844, Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Any member voting with reservation? Any member voting no? Seeing none, Chair, your measure is adopted.
This committee hearing is adjourned.